Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, and I'm here along with Ellen DePlacido. Good morning, Ellen.
Good morning, Mike.
Yes. Hey, the last few times we've talked about starting seeds indoors.
Mm-hmm.
And what were those four primary keys or points that we talked about? Do you remember?
Warmth,
Moisture,
light,
light,
and the medium that you're going to plant them in.
And the growing medium.
Right.
Okay.
I passed the test.
Yeah, very good. And I said light, this multiple times for a
Right.
reason, okay?
Mm-hmm.
How important that is, supplemental light, when you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But now it comes down to the point of, when should you start your seeds indoors? And there's a difference between, the cool weather plants and the warm weather plants, aren't there?
Right.
Or isn't there? Okay, excuse me.
Well, there is a difference.
Okay. And you're probably not going to hear these recordings probably until around maybe the 10th of April or thereabouts, okay? So by that time, you can probably start either one of these things. But how would you typically approach these things, Ellen?
Well, first of all, I strongly suggest that you read the instructions on the back of the seed packet, and we do say that every time. But cool weather plants, you probably want to set those out near the last part of April or the first week of May.
Okay, you're talking about setting them out in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but starting the seeds.
About
okay,
6 weeks before you want to set them
would back
outside.
up. Right,
Mm-hmm.
about that time. So that would really kind of take you back to, the latter part of March, wouldn't it? Okay, when you're starting those cool weather crops. And when you look at the warm weather crops, again, like Ellen said, she always reminds me, read the packet of seeds. Okay, you want to start those things probably, 6 to 8 weeks prior to setting those warm weather crops out in the garden. And when we set warm weather crops out here in northwestern Pennsylvania, we're probably talking sometime after, probably the 20th of May. Really, because you want your soil to warm up, not just the air. And that's very important. And you need to have the warmer nights are really important. So you want to kind of get things up above 55 degrees, if you can.
Right.
So,
Correct.
So if you do that, that'll all work out. In fact, when you're setting those cool weather crops out and those warm weather crops out in the gardens, you could probably do some direct seeding of other cool weather crops and warm weather crops at the very same time.
Right.
So when you're setting those cool weather crops out, don't be afraid to, put out your peas and your onion sets and your carrots and your beets and stuff like that. And as far as the warm weather crops, I probably wouldn't put my direct seeded stuff like zucchini and summer squash and other things into the ground until that particular time also. But, you go back to following the directions on the packet. When we talk about depth is really important, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, when it comes to these things. And typically, the smaller the seed, the shallower it goes.
Yeah, you don't want to bury it too deep.
Yeah, we're not talking about burying things. We're talking about planting things, aren't we?
That's right.
We remind people of that all the time. And then as far as the germination, whether you're doing inside or outside, these things all kind of fit together. You got to kind of keep that moist, don't you?
Moist, and hopefully it's warm enough.
Because when those seeds initially germinate, those roots are really tender, as are the start of the leaf stalk.
Right.
And you don't want them to dry out on you. Are they going to look terrible? They're going to die. Is what is going to happen. I'm trying to go too quick. Okay. And keep in mind that also that seeds of the same variety really kind of germinate at different rates, don't they?
Yeah.
You're not going to. That's Mother Nature's, way of, ensuring that you're going to get some good germination. But then as you grow in these plants, you got to care for these little babies, don't you?
Yes, you do. You want to keep them moist, so you want to water them, but you want to water the soil, not the plant.
Yep. Very good.
Make sure that those roots are moist. So, like I said, you want to water below when there's a second set of leaves that have started to grow.
Yep.
Okay. Don't overwater, okay, because you'll drown them.
Yeah.
And they'll probably maybe get a fungus or they'll die.
Yeah, they're going to rot. Yeah.
Right. After we set them out, you want to watch for problems.
Yeah, you do. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, if they get leggy or too wet, if you're watering them too much, they'll probably get that fungus, like I said, and die.
Right. And sometimes that happens when we even direct seed things in the garden. Even warm weather crops. You get 3 or 4 days of rainy weather and no sun. some of those seeds are going to plant. And sometimes you just have to replant.
I was going to say, plant more than what you think you want, or just replant because
right,
they're probably not all going to germinate.
Yeah,
maybe.
And that's just what happens. Don't be discouraged by that particular thing. Right. So, all these points, good things to keep in mind. I encourage you to try to plant some things inside because it's kind of a neat way of doing things.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And then you learn a little bit more about gardening when you do it that way also. So give it a try. Okay, don't be discouraged. Okay, but keep in mind those 4 points of good light, a good growing soil medium, okay, warmth, and some moisture. Okay, so Ellen, it looks like we've used our time for today.
Okay.
How about we jump on to our next topic?
All right. Okay.
Thank you now. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.